In this problem, we need to test a claim that there is no difference between the reaction times of right and left hands. And there was a test done with 5 students when their reaction time with their left hand was compared with their reaction time to their right hand. So in order to do this hypothesis test, we start off by writing the null and alternative hypotheses, and we have those here, that mu sub d is equal to 0, and then mu sub d is not equal to 0. Since the claim is that there's no difference, that's saying that mu sub d is equal to 0, and the opposite of that would be not equal to 0. So there's no indication of greater than or less than. So that's why we go with that. And we've got our null and alternative hypotheses. So now how do I get the test statistic? We put our values for the right hand into L1, the values for the left hand into L2, and then we can make L3 the list of the differences. So in L3, we can make this either L1 minus L2 or L2 minus L1. Sometimes they give you an indication here, but they are not in this particular case. So, nope, they don't. Okay, so I can just do L1 minus L2, and then I'll have my values in L3. And then we can do a t-test. And the input is going to be data. And mu 0 is equal to 0 because that's the value from the null hypothesis. And then I'm going to say that my list is L3, and the frequency should stay 1. And the alternative hypothesis is that mu is not equal to mu 0. So that reflects the alternative hypothesis we have written above. And when we use calculate or draw, we get a test statistic, t equals negative 3.18. So now we're up to that point, and now we need to find the critical values. So how do we do this? Because we're working with the t-distribution, I'm going to draw that t-distribution. Really, it just looks like the normal distribution. And we're doing a two-tail test. And let's see, at the top here we have that alpha is equal to 0.02 because it says a 0.02 significance level. So if alpha is 0.02 and we're doing a two-tail test, then we have to cut alpha in half, and we get alpha over 2 is 0.01. So I need to find t sub 0.01 and negative t sub 0.01. All right, and that'll give me those critical values. So how do I calculate t sub 0.01? I'm going to use the inverse t function in the calculator. And the area to the left is going to be 1 minus 0.01. And then I have to give the degrees of freedom. So that's why I need this data here. The number of pairs in the sample is 5, so the degrees of freedom is 4. So it's just, you take the sample size minus 1, And I've got 4 for that. And when I put that in, I get 3.747. So my critical values are plus and minus 3.747. So let's fill that in. And our test statistic was negative 3.18, which is going to fall about here. And so we are going to fail to reject the null hypothesis. So let's see, what was our claim? Our claim was that there was no difference between the reaction times of the left and right hands. So there is not enough evidence to warrant rejection of the claim that there is no difference between the reaction times of the right and left hands. And that's how you do that problem.